Welcome to the iPhoneography podcast. My name is Greg McMillan, and as I record this, it is Monday, July 5th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And I say that because we have people from various parts of the planet listening in, and we are live on YouTube. And I think so far everything's going off without a hitch. So tonight we are going to have a guest, but first I'll bring in Mr. Dave Bodner. Hello, Dave.
Hey, how's it going tonight?
It's going really well. You seem to be having a little more warmer weather than I am today. You said it was
Yeah,
what, 27 Celsius there?
yeah. Today was really a hot, humid day. We just had a bit of a rainstorm come through, so hopefully that'll
Yeah.
cool things down so we can sleep halfway decent. But yeah, definitely, we're feeling the summer this year. We are
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, yeah,
feeling the
we are
summer this
too.
year. Yeah,
Yeah. It was well, it says it was a high of 28 today, and yeah, I could see it, but it was humid here too. Um, so again, you and I, as far away as we are from each other, same weather, which is
very
weird.
similar. Very similar.
But speaking of weather, we're going to bring in a guy who hails all the way from the land down under, from all the way from
Tomorrowland,
Newcastle,
yeah,
from
from
Tomorrowland, yeah,
Tomorrowland.
because it is tomorrow for him right now. And no, it's not Shane Mostyn, but the bloody legend, Mr. Dale Lotherington. Hello, Dale.
Hey guys, how you all going?
Good. It's all the way from Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia.
Yeah, the future and the lucky lotto numbers are.
Yeah. Yeah, do tell. So you're suffering a bit of a cold because you guys are in the middle of winter or at the beginning of winter down there.
Yes, it's
So
pretty cold. I think our max today is 13. We've got some strong gusts of 70 kilometers an hour. So mind my
yeah.
voice. I've got a bit of a cold. One, I'm Australian, so you can't understand me. Two, I've got a cold. You can't understand me.
Yeah. Well, good on you for sticking it out and going ahead with it. And I gave you the out. You didn't have to come on, but you're gonna persevere, and we're happy to have you. So good to see you. And you and I have been on. Well, even Dave, we've all been on Shane's broadcast before. So
Hmm.
we're no strangers to this. And the only difference is I'm at the buttons here, and I could easily screw things up, whereas Shane's a little more
Well,
proficient at it.
well, you've been at
So,
you've been pushing buttons long enough that everything should be good.
well, yeah, I think so. I think I've got
Yeah.
everything sorted. The
Say
audio's
cue
recording
cue cue
separately, and
cue black screen now. Boom.
yeah, exactly. So tonight, today, tomorrow, whatever it is, wherever you are, we're going to talk to Dale about his photography and whatever else he does, in the art. One of the main things is your astrophotography. You take a little different approach than probably most people would, especially when it comes to using your phone. So, first of all, which phone are you using?
So currently I've got the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but I
Yeah.
started, I think I think the 12. Oh no, yeah, I think the 12 I started on and made my way up. So I've had
Yeah.
different models over the periods.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the 15 Pro Max, and Dave's wife has a 15 Pro Max,
Yeah.
so we've all kind of had experience with it, and I think
Hmm.
we'd all agree to say that it's, pretty darn good. Um, Now, when you do your Astro stuff, and we're going to look at some of your pictures later in when we do our recent photos, so I won't bring them up now, but you can talk about how you do these things, and then of course later we'll show it. But what's your approach to doing like an Astro photo?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it differs depending on what type of astro I'm doing. So when it comes to a Milky Way, for sure, I probably take a similar approach to most, which is the native iPhone camera app. For sure, I think Apple's fun limitations they've placed on third-party app developers have led everyone to lead into the native camera app with its 10 seconds of exposure there, as well, 1 second, I guess, of exposure.
No, it actually is 10 seconds.
10? I guess 10
Yeah,
seconds.
like
Yeah,
a 30-second night mode shot on the, I think it started with the 14, maybe the 13 Pro.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
13.
has
Yeah,
been
13 because I can do
Yeah.
if I stabilize it, I can do 30 seconds.
But are they 3 10-second shots? So,
That
or
I
is it
don't
10
know. That
3-second
I don't
shots?
know. Well,
At
I
one
only
point, it
get
was
I
10
only get
3-second shots.
yeah, I only get one output, so I don't know the
Yeah.
magic it happens.
But when you
on
look at the
same.
data, though, Dave, is it
The
say
data,
3 seconds or 10 seconds on a night mode shot like that?
But you know what?
So while you're looking that up,
yeah, I'll look it up.
yeah,
You are right. Yeah, it's 10 seconds. That limitation, I think, was the 1 second that Apple applied to the third-party
to a
developers.
normal shot, yeah, to a
To a
normal
normal
shot,
shot.
yeah. So
Yeah.
night mode kicks in, and if you got it stabilized, then you got you could do a maximum of 3 10-second shots.
Yep.
So
So definitely tripod is a go for Astro.
yeah, yeah.
You definitely need that. But I think what I like to try and take for my approach to astrophotography is I try to adapt some forms that a big boy camera would take, some techniques that more professional people would take, called stacking. And I guess this is already being done natively inside the camera app from Apple.
Technically, yeah.
Technically, to a degree. But I'm taking it to the next level. I'm aware a lot of other people probably do most of their editing, shooting, all on the one device, all on the phone. I prefer to take it external. So I shoot everything on my phone, nothing on a camera, and everything gets transferred straight to the Mac, and there goes the editing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, PC and Mac. So when it comes to Milky Way, I actually copy everything to my PC first, and the stacking application is a free one. I think it was bought by Google, called Sequator. It's a free to download app, very commonly used. It's probably not the best on the market, but being free, it was the first accessible option that I navigated to.
But
And
the
it's
question,
treated me.
but the
Yeah.
question is, sorry to interrupt, but the question is, Scott Baker says, have you tried adjusting the aperture?
Oh my God, the aperture. I've got to adjust that aperture. All my dreams have come true.
Yeah. So you're editing on the Mac.
Yeah, so what I do is I would normally, instead of everyone taking an approach of trying to shoot don't get me wrong, if I can get it in one shot and it's amazing, awesome. I've done it a few times in some very dark areas when I went camping in bottle one area zones. One shot was almost the same quality as this massive long process I'm going to go through, which is quite
Wow, really?
interesting. Quite
Yeah.
interesting, and it makes me feel I'm in the wrong area to live. But my process would be to take several of those 30-second exposures. I've gone anywhere probably extreme to 70, 100, I think, one time.
Wow.
Keep in mind there's an extra element to this. So I have a
Yeah.
star tracker also, which helps with this stacking process because stars move. Sorry, flat earthers. They move. Oh, shockers. Shockers. Oh no. Controversial. But it helps align. So therefore, when I'm stacking everything, the star alignment there, I'm not cutting into my image and getting less and less of a final image to play with for all the stack.
Right, yeah.
But that goes from the iPhone to the PC. I would go through a Sequator, stack it. I might do a couple of variations depending on the settings because it's a GUI front end program where you can play around with some settings. And then I would pick some that I like, move it back to the Mac, and this is where I start editing. Another key thing I forgot to mention is while I'm on location, shooting the Milky Way, most of the time I'll try to pick a location where the Milky Way is natively, because I don't really like to fudge the truth too much. I mean, everyone
Right.
has their take on what is acceptable, but in the end of the day, if you are taking the stacking approach, it's a composite photo. No matter how you really look at it, you're
It is,
always
yeah.
going to be producing a composite photo. So I try to keep as good element as I can. And if it's not, I'll clearly label it in the post. This is a composite.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll list it so it's obvious. But I'll shoot a foreground. So I like to do another technique of photography, which is focus stacking. So as long as I do the stacks of the Milky Way, I'll get a nice foreground there, and I'll do a couple of foreground 30-second modes because I might be able to blend them in Photoshop all together, and then use medium stacking mode, which will then reduce the noise in the foreground as well, even further. So I'm using multiple different techniques to kind of get a final creation, I guess,
Yeah.
is what I like to look at it.
So how long would it take to put something like that together? Like just the editing part of it, start to finish?
Yeah, it's surprisingly, I mean, once you get the hang of it, it's not that bad. I would probably say anywhere from half an hour to an hour if you're really particular. Some shots I've really fallen in love with and probably could have done it in 20 minutes, but I just really took my time to absolutely ensure it is perfect. So when you're focus stacking, a lot of things is you've got to really be careful with masking, because one
Yeah.
little slip in a perfect image spoils the illusion.
Yeah, that's right.
You're spending a lot of time at the very final stage of stacking those two foreground and Milky Way stacked together, ensuring everything blends properly, using Gaussian blurs, making everything nice and smooth.
Yeah.
I think that's where the perfectionist comes into me. I try to anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Now you've done some night photos right from your house, right in town where you live.
Yeah.
And I think this is you know, Dave, you've probably seen some of his stuff that he's
Mhm.
taken right from home, and it's got to be inspiring for you because I mean, you have light pollution where you are, and with Dale having the light pollution, I mean, he lives in Newcastle, right? Like
Right.
it's
Yeah.
right in the city.
Mhm.
Um, that's got to be inspiring to
Gotta
maybe
so it means I have a chance. It means I have
yeah
maybe
yeah
I think even with the layering techniques, I probably can't get as close as he does, but there's always hope.
yeah. And I don't know
Absolutely.
where like from looking from your house, Dave, have you ever tried using an app to see where the Milky Way is? Like, would it ever be in your line of sight, like it from your
It,
backyard?
probably yes. I'm guessing just because even though I do have a decent back hill behind me, that kind of kills looking east directly.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. That's right.
but looking west, the hill kind of goes down, so I can see pretty decent in the west. And north and south, where the streets go, I can see decent-ish that way. But just the hills here kind of kill stuff right on the horizon
Yeah, yeah,
because you
yeah. There
figure
is a lot of hills.
my back hill, and I did this just for quote unquote funsies, just to see the angle of my back hill when I was mowing the lawn one day. And it's, I want to say it's close to 15 degrees in
Oh
terms of
yeah,
the steepness. So it's, yeah,
yeah,
it's a decent steepness of a hill. So yeah,
yeah.
my sunrise is delayed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, if I'm to comment
Um,
on that there, I think the way I kind of actually got into astrophotography
Mhm.
is through Shane Mostyn, who you also do a podcast with there, Greg. And I learnt quite a lot of techniques with star trails. That's what got me into astro. I thought it was absolutely stunning and amazing, and it's something that I strive to get better. At the time, I'd actually broken my foot for the first time.
yeah,
It's three
yeah,
times in 4 years, but we'll get there.
yeah, yeah,
Clumsy me. And I couldn't go anywhere, but I was determined to learn. So what I did is I got my tripod out, and every night I would shoot stars out my bedroom window, and I would just change the setting each night to see where the optimal setting was for this zone, so I could better understand. Because at the time I'd never shot on a big boy camera.
That takes
Mm.
patience.
It takes a lot of patience, and you would not believe the amount of effort and nights I wake up to absolutely nothing.
Oh no.
So we had a lot of fun times of nothing, but I think
Yeah.
once I got that, it was eye-opening because then I could know what to set, and of course each location is different, but you get an idea of how the brightness in each zone you would adjust those settings. And I
Yeah.
kept practicing and practicing. I think my longest one is one of my favorite images I've ever shot on for Star Trails. I think it was in the dead of winter, so it was almost like 12 hours. Just as sunset was going down, I got the nice glow and colors of
Mm.
sunset, all the colored stars across the, like, almost I couldn't even see a black sky. It's almost practically just pure stars. And then I got a little tiny bit of sunrise as well, so I kind of got that lit up the ground a little bit better.
Yeah.
And it was one of my favorite images. But
So now you
yeah,
just gave away a hint as to what app you're using when you said all the different colored stars.
yes, the only best app for Star Trails, even longer,
Yeah,
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
it's the only one that really brings out the color of the stars. Um,
Hmm.
Yes.
you know, and I've done that in my backyard with even longer. It was only maybe a 2 hour star trail, more of a test than anything. But
Mhm.
boy, oh boy, it really captures the colors. And now it has the ability to eliminate, satellites and planes and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I haven't done it, but so what's your experience with that part of the app? Like, would you say it's really, really good or could be
Yeah,
better?
look,
Or
I think when I started, I used that for sure. I used the shoot all in one. I took advantage a little bit when I was getting into time lapse. I took advantage of this app's many features. Its interim save, and what that meant is I could shoot one image, I could wake up and hopefully have a great image to share, but I could set a delay, say every minute or every few minutes, and it would save its result. So just in case the clouds had come through and wrecked the image of the night, I could just call it. Like, I could call it and go, I reckon halfway through the night, it was good enough. The clouds started coming in. It looks cool, but I would rather it be perfect with a perfect
yeah,
cloudless sky. And I think that alone was fantastic. And that actually got me to probably where I feel like I peaked now. I can't come back. I got featured on the official Apple website, for my Star
Hmm.
Trails, which was the Instagram, sorry, the website, the official
yeah, yeah.
Apple Instagram, which was really
And I
cool.
have been trying for years, and
And the
I've
best
never
part
been.
is, I was asleep while I did it.
That is just not freaking fair, I tell you.
Oh, it's great.
No, literally, I have been trying. I have been hashtagging shot on iPhone for probably, I guess, 12 years almost since
Hmm.
I've started
Mm.
using an iPhone. And not once do they pick up an image
Hundred,
of mine.
if thousands of images.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm lucky I accepted it because at first, I mean, as we're all aware, we get a lot of spam messages online, and it wasn't the official Apple that had reached out. It was one of their marketing companies, social marketing
Oh.
companies.
Ah,
So I
okay.
saw it and I nearly deleted the message because I thought, oh, come on, that
Yeah.
can't be real. But I entertained it because I thought, what have I got to lose? I didn't
Yeah.
actually have
Just
to
what
provide
if,
too
eh?
much
Just what if.
information. And then when I saw the official at Apple emails come back to me, I was like, it's real. I think it's
Yeah.
real.
That's cool. Yeah. Um, so you said you do time lapses, so well, yeah, I guess they're basically like hyperlapses.
Yeah, well, I've kind of got into both. I will correct this for everyone right now. So we're all aware, Samsung, you got your marketing wrong. A hyperlapse is not, a time lapse is not a hyperlapse. A time lapse
Yeah.
is a stationary camera taking several shots over extended periods of time
Mm.
to capture the movement of something. A hyperlapse is a time lapse, but the camera moves. So it normally has a focal point. Sometimes it's not if you're really talented, but I've started with focal points. And as you move, you might have, say, a building that you're slowly moving towards, and you might align it to a point. Maybe you'll use a grid on your camera. This is why I used Even Longer for a lot of things, because it has a lot of really good grids in its camera app, and you can just do the still instead of a long exposure. But saying that, long exposure is better because motion blur you'd think would be bad, but it's actually really, really good in time lapse. It helps smooth everything out. So what I would do is I would stack it, and you'd pick maybe the top of the building and you'd have it right in the middle, and then you'd take one photo, you take one step, be consistent though between your shots, because if you're not consistent, it will be jaggery as it goes along. So count it to a couple of seconds, set your delay, take another one, take one step. It's tedious, but you might have to take, 30 frames a second, right? You do the maths, you might have to take 300 photos, 300 steps to get 10 seconds of footage, which takes a long time. I think the longest one I've did was down buildings, down a whole road. I think I did like 2.5 hours of just taking step after step after step.
Oh man,
which was very
and
hard.
I thought I was a patient guy. I thought I was a patient guy. You've got the patience of Job, I tell you. Holy, that's ridiculous. So I'm gonna share my screen, but I don't want to do it just yet. I want to try to isolate this what I'm looking at, because I don't want to give away some other things that are kind of right there. So while I'm trying to figure this out, kind of give us an idea as to how you say do the editing of these hyperlapses.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, my process has changed over the time. I would use Even Longer, or you could technically use the native camera app. One problem with that is you kind of want full manual control over an image when you're doing these types of things, because most apps these days, it will blend way better if all the shutter speed and ISO are exactly the same. Or if you're doing what they call a holy grail shot, which I've tried a few times and I'd like to improve, which is a day to night shot, you would be manually changing it. So this is why I picked Even Longer as my app of choice, because I could manually set the ISO and shutter speed to whatever I wanted. 1 second max, obviously. But I could manually control it and I could get the best, I guess, result. So I'd shoot everything shot by shot, copy it to my Mac. I think I forgot the name now. It's been probably 2 years since I stopped using it. It was some other freeware kind of motion app. I think it was only like $10 or something, but so not so free, but it was very, very affordable app, and it helped stack them all together. Put a bit of motion blur there. It was really effective. I've now moved over to probably an app most professionals would use is LR Time Lapse. It integrated with Lightroom. Not made by Lightroom at all. It's made by another incredibly amazing German fella. Who'd have guessed that all these German fellas are making amazing tech for photography? But it's pretty clever. And you can put your image sequence in. For the Lightroom version of it, you would set an amount of keyframes, and you might have, depending on how long you are, how much the variation of dynamics changed, a few keyframes, maybe 10, 15, maybe 5 if there's not much change. And those keyframes then all sync into Lightroom. So you can edit each keyframe in Lightroom and then save that metadata back to the image, and it reopens back into LR Timelapse. And then you just hit auto transition. And it would then apply all of those same edits across the entire timeline, but gradually change and smooth things out. And it also has a function called deflickering, because normally when you're shooting, especially if you're shooting JPEGs, the color space, you won't have that range. So which is why RAW is really the way to go if you're going to get into time lapse. Can be done in JPEG, especially the newer version they've just released. You actually don't need Lightroom at all. You can do it all within the one program, and you can do it with JPEGs with deflickering. You will slightly get a little bit of flicker, weird color changes in cloud sometimes, but it's still kind of really cool. You get some really cool results at the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so as anybody that's on YouTube right now can see, we're playing one of the hyperlapses, and there's a link to these in the show notes. So, folks, if you missed the video or you don't catch the YouTube video later, um, you can click on the link in the video, and it'll take you to Dale's Instagram account where he's supplied a couple of links to these. So this is the one, um, and it's just really cool. Like it looks like a short sequence, but it's not. It's one of those ones that probably took you, I'm going to guess around
Surprisingly,
20
this
minutes or so.
yeah,
Uh,
I'd probably say about 30, 35. I would say
Is
there's
that
only
right?
about, yeah, I'd say about 300 images probably in this one.
Okay.
I've done it a few times, so I've kind of gotten quite used to people looking very weirdly at me and me saying, don't worry, you'll be a blur, you will be a microsecond. You're not in this.
Yeah, yeah.
But also, please get out of my way.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I can't
exactly.
move and I can't stop. You're in my way.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
So.
Now I'm going to try to find the other one.
Now, Dale, you may have mentioned this, and I may have missed it. Are you using any kind of gimbal, or are you just hand holding as you're moving along there?
That's a good question. I've done a tripod a few times. What I found was it's very tedious. So I swapped out to my monopod. I had a tripod that
Okay.
you could take off one leg and
Mhm.
use it as a monopod, which I found quite effective. For this one, it was handheld.
Oh,
So the
wow.
grid really helps. Part of the one actually extra editing step that I didn't mention before is once I've done everything in LR time lapse, it's exported. I've got the pro version because I was so determined to get into time lapse, which I eventually feel like I might. Spent like $700 on it, and I can do like original scale. Like really, if you shot 48 megapixel images, you could have, I don't know how many K that would be on a screen. It'd be ridiculous. But yeah, you could blow them up to like movie screens if you really
Oh,
wanted
wow.
to. It'd be ridiculous. But I'd move it into DaVinci Resolve at the end, and I apply an extra stabilization to kind of make sure it's much more smoother. Because obviously, once you're blending it, if you're doing it freehand, you are still going to get a little
Oh,
bit
yeah.
wavy.
Yeah.
So you just apply a couple of very smooth stabilization passes, and it's near perfect once you get used to labeling it and getting that dot point and the focal point
Yeah.
exactly where you want it.
Yeah, I'm just looking for this one to try to show it the way I showed it before from your reels. I don't want to show um your Instagram page just yet because there's something there I want
Oh, yes.
to bring up on the screen after, but
Oh,
so
I
I don't
did
want to
actually another
spoil it.
one just recently. Another time lapse. Well, I'm on my AAA, which was quite cool, of this nice pink clouds that just came over,
Oh.
which is really cool. Anyway.
Da, da, da.
I think time lapses, if you're going to get into time lapse, obviously maybe just start with a time lapse app on your iPhone. If you're really into it, get into it. Like it's time consuming, but it is rewarding, and especially if you're on location and you look at the scene that you really like, but you think, there's not enough colors in the scene, or, it's not exactly how I wanted that sun to pop out. You'd be surprised how impressive it would look as a time lapse because
Yeah,
clouds moving in the sky, they look magical. This is the one, yeah.
yeah. So this isn't the time. This isn't the other time lapse. I'll get back to it after I bring up what I
Yeah.
didn't want people to see just yet. But I want to show a picture of yours that was on that page that was showing the time lapse. But like I say, I didn't want to spoil it. But I'm going to show the image first. Then we'll show the time lapse after.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
so this one here,
Yeah.
this image here, it's
Oh.
just like wow, like
Mhm.
holy cow. So talk about that one. Like it's maybe I can bring it up bigger. Maybe I don't know. No, I can't.
I wish
But
I sent it to you,
but
sorry.
just talk about that
Yeah.
one and how that came about.
Yeah, actually, well, that one and another one just below it there is
Yeah.
all happened in one day. Amazingly, we don't get too many storms. But they all happened in one day. I took this one first on screen. We're over the ocean. This is Actually, the time lapse you saw before, where they were hyperlapse, correct me, the hyperlapse of the Anzac Walk over the ocean, and then it looks over the coastline where I live, which is only about 5 minutes walk from my house. Absolutely gorgeous. I love that location. But I stood there for about an hour and a half while people kept going away, moving away, getting scared of the storm, convincing myself every 5 minutes, should really go now, Dale. You should really go now, Dale. You're at the
Yeah.
highest point in Newcastle on a metal bridge. You should really go now. They're getting closer. I'm determined to get a bolt hit the sand because there's the local photographer it's gone viral over the internet. There's 2 bolts that hit the sand right in the middle of the beach. And
Oh,
I
wow.
am so determined to capture a similar shot like that. So
Mm.
bring it on, lightning.
Yep.
But I stayed as long as I could until I was actually drenched in rain. I'm like, well, I can't shoot anything now. It's get drenched in rain, and then walked home. But then realized it's still going. So I kind of ran halfway back home, and as I dumped all my images onto my computer so I could start editing because I was impatient and I just needed to start editing. And then I set my camera back up outside my music studio window, looking out over the city, and I just let it roll for another 3 hours. And that was the result of probably my favorite lightning stack,
Mm.
or one of.
Yeah.
I've got another one that was pretty impressive as well. But yeah, this one made the news, the local news. It was pretty good. It was, I would say, like maybe it probably says in the description, but I think 60. I'm reading here, but there was like 60 kind of individual 5 or 10 second exposures that
Yeah.
I
Five
picked
second.
out
Yep.
because there was quite a lot I didn't pick out, which were good enough in their own. But when you're stacking, you kind of have to be quite selective because it can play out with the sky, and even then you can still see a historical line gate image through that one, which will never be removed,
Yeah.
but it will be a moment in time. I feel like we made that
Mm.
change, right? Didn't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah. And Maurice likes it. He says he
Mm.
saw that cloud one. Cool color change. That's the time lapse he's
Yeah.
talking about there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Um,
yeah. It's magical.
so now I will get back to the hyperlapse. Let me go to
Well,
the link I have that you
while you're
gave me.
doing that, Dale, when you were so you basically had it where you stacked those multiple photos to get the lightning. Now the bottom part where that obviously didn't change.
Yep.
Did the software was the software smart enough to say, okay, this hasn't changed, so or did you have to manually
Focus stacking. So before I
Oh,
started, well, pretty reasonably easy. Before I started doing it, I just took a couple of stacks of the foreground because I knew
okay,
it's not going to get any lighter now. It's just going to progressively get darker.
sure.
And then I set it off on its journey, shooting very underexposed. If you're going to shoot lightning, I know it's stupid, sounds stupid, but underexpose the hell out of it. It is
okay.
so much better to have it like 2 stops, 3 stops under, because lightning is bright,
Right.
very bright, and you don't really want it to overexpose.
Okay.
So I was kind of jumped ahead of myself here with what I was showing. I was showing your lightning time lapse. We'll get back to that in a second, but first I want to finish off on the hyperlapses, and I'll show this one. This is the one that this is really cool. I'll get it on here as quick as I can, and right there. So
Oh yeah,
this is where you really show how you have to keep the focal point in check with every shot, right?
yeah,
Like or it'll get jittery and everything else.
Mhm.
hundred
I think
percent.
that is so cool the way you've done that.
Yeah, so this location is probably one of Newcastle's popular. It's Nobby's for sure, Nobby's Point. You got the lighthouse there. So I just used the lighthouse as my focal point, and then I also used I guess the light right at the end there, the light tower. And I just slowly just moved one step at a time. I can't remember how many images here it may say in the description, but definitely a few hundred because I went both ways. So it took me a good like 2 hours, 2.5 hours to kind of do. but absolutely worth it. I did stuff up a little in the sky, but I was still actually learning at the time lapse. So it was really good for at the time when I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So now we'll get back to the lightning time lapse. Just give me 1 second here. There it is there.
Yeah.
So this is
And this
obviously from
was
your house, I think.
This is from my bedroom window again. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
So from my bedroom window, this was probably over like 2 hours, 3 hours of a time. I think I've got the 170 times 20-second exposures. So this was actually one of my favorite. I've got it framed in my bedroom outside the window. It's funny, I've got a couple of my best window photos framed next to the window just to show like off how good the window can be. Ironically. But yeah, this one was really cool. I had like 170 really good lightning that I all merged together. So if you can picture all of them merged together, it was just like field of lightning everywhere, which was really cool. I just sat there sipping a glass of whiskey, really enjoyed the storm. It was awesome.
Just waiting for your foot to heal.
Yeah. Just waiting so it stopped because I wanted to edit it, but I knew it was still going. I'm like, I don't want you to stop, but I also want you to stop.
No, I think we should kind of give people a little bit of an idea about you as a person, but you're a drummer. And when you have
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
broken foot, it's pretty hard to play the drums.
It is. It is definitely hard to play the drums. Saying that, I have played a few sets when I had my broken foot. Just takes a lot of pain. Wrapping it up in a couple of socks in a moon boot, and then get on stage to play that set. Recently, I've also been helping another band out with some percussion. So I've also kind of broken my foot recently within the last few months, and I've worn the moon boot out and played percussion on stage. So it's been quite a common occurrence of mine to break my feet every 2 years apparently. So next year's going to be a good one, and we'll look forward to 2026.
Yeah, for sure. So Will Newcomb asked a question here for Dale. Have you used BMO Stitch to create some high quality panels?
I
We've been
haven't.
talking about this for a little bit on the show here. I think it's a phenomenal stitching app, like panel app. Dave's used it. I've used it. Shane's used it. It's pretty darn cool.
I do wonder how it would work with Lightning. So my editing of Lightning would be in Photoshop, but it would be layering. So I'd layer all of my raws together. I'd normally maybe in Lightroom I might edit them, get them all to a consistent kind of where I want each photo, export them as layers back into Photoshop, which takes significant time with 170 of them. And then save, don't crash. And then highlight them all, change it to blend mode lighten, which then means the lighter versions seek through to the top of the image. Obviously being the light, this is why I say it's really good to underexpose if you're going to shoot lightning, and if you want then do a foreground shot so you know you've got your foreground set. Don't mute the tripod, just let it do underexposed images of lightning. And if you're going to stack heaps of them together, it's really good to get them real dark, because the more you stack together, the lighter and the lighter that images get. So if you're intending to do a stacking lightning image, which looks sensationally great, rather than just one image, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing about the iPhone is when you got a storm like that going on, you could take a 30-second shot every time and you're bound to get a bolt of lightning in it.
Yeah.
And if you use an app like Even Longer or even Re-Expose, you can stop the exposure as soon as a bolt hits. That way you're not, extending it and possibly missing another one type of thing.
Well, one comment on that actually, what I would suggest if you are going to get into Lightning and you have an app like Reflex or Even Longer with the intervalometer feature, which is really important for Lightning, because otherwise you're sitting there doing this the whole. Oh, oops! I've got a. Oh no, sorry, Apple.
That's for you,
What have you
Shane.
done?
That's for you.
What have I done? Oh no, it's clicking a Bluetooth tracker the whole time. Instead of that, you can just press record and then sit back and enjoy the lightning for what it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But what was I saying now? Oh no.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
it's
so I
more
was- I
about
was-
it
I
was
was-
more about the clicking.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I was saying instead of the 30 seconds, you kind of want to keep your exposure time as low as you possibly can, because the longer you're running, the more chance you're going to get motion blur and things going to be moving. You really want to keep that image crisp as possible, and that lightning bolt crisp as possible, because it happens in a split second. Even if you
Yeah.
technically had it capture in the 1 second, you're probably going to capture most of that bolt. So that's why I try, and you're right though. It's a mix between, do I want it short and sharp and then take the risk of missing a bolt while it saves
Yeah.
and then switches over, because I've seen a lot that I've missed in the past, or long, potentially a little bit more blurry and not sharp, but definitely capture more bolts. So you got to balance it depending on
Yeah.
how often you're receiving a bolt in your area.
Yeah. That's right. Um, Unfortunately, from my house, there's not a great uh, what's the word I'm looking for? View, I guess, of anything to get a sequence like that.
Mm.
Anytime so far this year that there's been a lightning storm, it's either been out of view one way or out of view the other way. It's
Mm.
never been in plain view of my window, which is kind of disappointing. But I'm not gonna go out with an umbrella and sit outside anywhere with a lightning storm, because it would be my luck. I'd come home charbroiled.
Do any of the bays have like a undercover like cooking area or anything that you could kind of
Um,
hide under and shoot out of like into the water? Because you could get a cool
there
reflection.
might be somewhere. Like I know, like we have a couple of boat launches where the fishermen launch their boats, and
Yeah.
there was one that got knocked over in a windstorm recently.
Mm.
But even with that one, it's not. It doesn't have a good view of out over the bay because there's trees
Mm.
around it. So I mean, gosh, I'd have to say there's not a real great sheltered place. Oh, you know what? I'm lying through my teeth. There is one.
Mm.
There is one down by the bay shore. It's a popular. It's like a gazebo, and there is shelter there, and you can see out over the bay. So, dadgummit, next time we have
There
a
you
lightning
go.
storm, I'm going to go
Race
down
there.
there
Yeah.
and see if I could get some shots without getting electrocuted.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so
now, Greg, is there any way you can get views from your work?
no, because
Okay.
out behind the plant, there's a
Yeah.
big hill and bushes
Ah.
and trees and everything else.
Okay.
Um, looking at the front
I
of
was
the
thinking
building, of
since you
course,
work
there's the
over,
big
if
parking
you work,
lot. There's
let's say, it wouldn't
Eh?
be good then. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking. Well, I was thinking since you work overnight, a nighttime storm comes through.
Yeah, and
But,
the thing is too, Dave, is that when there's a lightning storm within, I think it's within 10 kilometers of the plant, we shut the machinery down and wait for it to pass,
Yeah.
because
Which makes sense. Yeah.
there
Pride.
is so many electronics on these presses and stuff that if the machine's running while a lightning strike hits, and even just a slight blip of the power,
Mm.
it's enough to knock the machine down, and then you've got potentially a massive amount of electrical issues with the press. The one that I operate, it has so many things on it electrically. It's the biggest hydro user in the building, believe it or
Wow.
not. And there's so much electronics on it that if we got a little power bump like that while we're running, then because all the processes are going and everything else,
Mhm.
then it could be a lot of havoc.
Mm.
So if it's down, if it's down sitting idle, then it's not as bad. I mean, if the power can go right
Right.
out and everything can
Less
be
light
booted back up,
pollution.
and
Even better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too, is because of all the, the lights in the parking lot and all that stuff,
Hmm.
there is a fair bit of light pollution. Uh, I mean, I got lucky with the aurora when the aurora was, really
Hmm.
bright that one weekend, and I was at work that night. Uh, but they were bright enough that it didn't matter how much light pollution there was, you could be
Yeah.
downtown and still see it. But, um so, okay, before we go to our recent pictures, Dave, anything else you wanted to ask Dale or anything?
No, no, I think I just want to comment. I think a lot of people, when they see the output, they don't realize the amount of work and effort and skill. It isn't just, oh, your phone's so wonderful. It take, and this is something I've heard non-iPhone photographers say or be told. Your phone takes, or your camera takes great photos. No, the person takes great photos. The effort and work it takes, like you said, oh, it could take about an hour or so to process some of these afterwards. I'm like, that's a lot of time and skill and learning software and specialized work that a lot of people don't want or can't put the effort into. So a lot, that's just something to keep in mind, is that when you see people, let's say, sell their photos, at like a flea market or an artist fair, and it's $25-$30 for a photo. Just remember, not only do you have the time to create that one photo, you have the hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of knowing how to get the photo that way.
Yeah.
Because,
Um,
like I said, I understand skill, but when you were talking about, oh yeah, I take this and I stack this and I go here and I move here and I do this and I'm like, I 100% appreciate the effort.
Yeah.
It's beyond what I'm either skill wise can do or willing to put the time into to get the skill.
yeah. Well, it does
Takes
take
a
a
lot of
lot of
failing.
time.
Yeah,
Takes a lot of failing and making mistakes to learn exactly
exactly.
how to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Maurice Backley said, 100%, he 100% agrees with that. It's the photographer, it's not the camera.
Yeah.
And Jack Hollingsworth has always been a proponent of that concept too. Like
Hmm.
he's always said that it doesn't matter which camera you have. Like, okay, if we talk about iPhones, he says it doesn't matter which iPhone you have. It's the photographer, the person behind it, that makes the difference. And um, I used to have a saying that I used to kind of slip into comment sections and things like that. It's not the camera, it's the uh, something to do with the vision of the photographer. But anyway, yeah, yeah, you're right. It's
Hmm.
the person behind the camera. Um, okay, so now we will take a look at our recent photos, and um, because Dale's with us, we're going to look, instead of Dave and I doing three each, we're going to do two each, and then Dale's got two to show as well.
Hmm.
So we're going to go in order here, and we're going to go Dale, Dave, me, Dale, Dave, me. So let me get this up here, and Dale, we're gonna start with you, and because I think this is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was one I took a little while back. I kind of walked out as a perfect night, but I was very uninspired, and I was kind of hanging around an area. I kind of hover around a particular area. I feel it's a little darker. The street lights are quite far back from. It's kind of like a hill walk down towards the city beach, but it goes quite far out of the street lights view, which is really good for shooting stars.
Hmm.
And I just couldn't pick it. But then I thought, let's get it a little bit more experimental. And to kind of quickly just jump off there, while I broke my leg learning star trails, I also had this dilemma of I'd done it, and once I figured out how to shoot star trails, I didn't really know what to shoot because I couldn't go anywhere and shoot anything. But I thought, all right, let's pick some random images. I got like a little fake plant. I got like like RGB keyboard with different colors there, and a normal keyboard, and I used that as the foreground shot element. and then just shot out. So just because you live in an area that doesn't have a really cool location to shoot, I actually just shot directly up. So therefore, I had a perfect view of the sky with literally nothing, but then I blended a foreground back into it. So there's always
Mhm.
creativity, thinking outside the box. And I did a similar thing here where the Milky Way was ever so slightly to the right, but I shot myself, I shot the hill, I did a couple of exposure shots for the foreground, got that really nice. And then I got my Apple Watch, set some delays, and went up there and took probably like, I don't know, 40 images until I was happy with one of them.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to get it focused and happy. And then I think I did the hill one, that was 70. So I did 70 30-second exposures of the sky in that same location without moving the tripod
Wow.
at all. And then I stacked them all together through Sequator through that process, and then blended in Photoshop the three elements all together. So you could kind of get everything in focus and everything crisp to their own kind of accord.
That's crazy. So Sequator, is it Windows only or Mac only or both, or
It
what is it?
is, yeah, it is PC only. So if
Okay.
you are going to get into that, it is. That's why I copy it to the PC first. But if you're into similar apps, there are one called, I think it's Starry Landscape Stacker for
Oh
Mac.
yeah. I've heard of that.
It
Yeah.
is it's not free, but I think it's only like 25 or $30 depending on where you are. It's
Yeah.
if you're getting into it, it's really worth it. I mean, if you're interested in astrophotography, it will then hopefully last you for quite some time. You can do everything through Photoshop, but these apps are a
Yeah.
little bit more user intuitive. They're a bit more
Mm.
easy to get to. You get to a good result much faster than manually aligning everything there or letting
Yeah.
Photoshop align everything.
So what about the edit on the sky? Once you've got everything stacked, um,
Hmm.
everything else, was it done in Photoshop, or how did you
Uh,
come up with the
yeah.
final version of the sky?
Yeah, so before I got into Photoshop, I actually edited all my photos in another program called Luminar Neo.
Oh yeah.
And Luminar Neo is a program you can subscribe to or you can buy it outright. I originally had just bought the program outright because I didn't really believe in subscriptions. I think we've got enough as there are these
Yeah.
days. But I now have Photoshop as I really needed it for quite a lot of different things. So I still kind of float between both of them. I find Luminar Neo, there's some filters in there really, really good for color correction and color
Hmm.
enhancement and contrast. There's a really cool contrast, and their structure tool is really good to bring things out. I guess similar to clarity, but I find it a little bit more appeasing to the eye. I find it really nice. So I kind of hop between them, and if I use Photoshop as my main editor, I can then use that as a plugin. So I can then just kind of
Hmm.
stack things, use a layer as a plugin back to Luminar, do some edits there, bring it back in. Some things I also use for a lot of my photography is the Topaz range. So I've used Topaz denoise for a lot of things. I think I may have used the denoise a little bit on the ground. I did stack a few, which reduced some noise, but then I also brought it back into Topaz and just did an ever so like 10, 20% denoise on it just to kind of make it a little bit more sharper, take a bit of the grain out. Ironically, at the end of my process, I'm started to add a bit more grain, like 3%
Oh
grain to
yeah.
the overall image, just to blend layers a little bit better. I know it sounds funny. It really helps to add that one little
Yeah.
bit of grain at the end.
Hmm.
It's really cool. But yeah, that's kind of the process. I switch between the apps. They all have their own kind of unique purpose for me, and I kind of use them as they to get the final in my brain, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's really cool.
Yeah.
It has a very almost like a misty look to it, like a real
Yeah,
softness to the
I did
Milky
use a
Way.
mystical filter around, so I did a lot of masking of like the Milky Way around, and then I used a little bit of like, I guess this was in Luminar Neo, the mystical filter, but I guess you would think of it as a Gaussian blur, I guess, to a degree, to kind
Okay.
of make it a little bit silkier, a little bit softer,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool.
to make it
Any
pop out a
thoughts,
bit
Dave?
more.
Well, yeah, just I love the how contemplative it is.
Yeah.
You know, just getting the feeling of, just like you said, I know it's like, yeah, like almost after a hard day, you're just going out there, collect your thoughts, and you just have
Yeah.
everything in front of you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did love the
Yeah.
scale factor. I thought it was really
Mhm.
cool to have a little small man. Not that small. And the big Milky Way. I did like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. So next we'll look at one of Dave's. I
Okay.
really like this.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, thanks. And you know, honestly, macro Macmillan.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, this was actually taken outside my work. I think I mentioned this before, is that, you know, in the morning, I'm the cafeteria where the coffee is on the other side of the building, and I like, as long as it's not raining or, you know, snowing isn't too bad, but as long as it's not raining, thunderstorming, whatever, I like to go outside. You know, I figured it's not, I'm not taking time away from my work. It's just, you know, get some fresh air, get outside, even when it's hot and muggy, still get out of the office air and get a chance to clear your head a little bit in the morning.
Hmm.
And the flowers were just in beautiful bloom. And the flowers are the first thing that grabbed my attention. But then I noticed the flies just flying around. And I just got lucky with timing getting this fly, because you can actually see the pollen on its legs.
Yeah.
And it just hitting it just so. I did some editing in Photomator with a little bit of the color and a little bit trying to desaturate the back green part to kind of get
Hmm.
that pop, to get more of a depth effect.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, it was just that time of day. It's not direct sunlight. It was a kind of, you know, even though it was, I trying to remember if it was cloudy or not, but it wasn't like a direct light, so it had a nice diffuse light. It was just one of those times you just get the shot right there.
Yeah.
And of course,
Cool.
it always
Super pretty color.
oh, thanks, yeah. And of course, it always looks weird when you're at work, you know, and then you're just kind of stopping with your phone hunched over, trying
Yep.
to keep your hand still, as you're like, okay, land. That's also
Yep.
why I like to have live photo on as the default.
Yeah. 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 Either live photo or burst mode, but
Right.
either one will work for sure.
Yeah.
I think live photo is just as effective. I mean, it doesn't give you as long of a shooting sequence, but if you nail something within that 3 seconds,
Mhm.
then you're going to get something very usable,
Yeah.
and it worked out well.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I think you probably shot this in 16:9, right? So there's no crop there.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. So I mean, the colors are really brilliant. Like I've seen flowers like this around here too,
Mhm.
and they are really neat.
Oh, yeah.
And I
I
like
did
what I like about it. What? Go ahead.
I would say I did boost the inner part a little bit to bring out the green, because the original image, the inner part of the flower itself, which is kind of dark.
Yeah.
So I did. That's one of the things I kind of adjusted, so you can see it. You have that greenish look to the very inside of the flower.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I was just gonna say I like the way you were almost looking straight down at this center of it too,
Mhm.
and yeah, just really cool. Any thoughts, Dale?
Yeah, it's super cool. I love the colors. I mean, I've always been a
Mhm.
fan of vibrant colors. I'd love to get into macro. Maybe with that patience, maybe I can
Yep.
try and absorb that. I
Mhm.
always kind of like to. I'm always attracted by colors and light. Really, seeing the world in a different shade. Sometimes the world seems a little bit dark, so it's
Yeah.
nice to kind of give everyone a bit of a brighter future to kind of appreciate. So
Yeah.
flowers are awesome. I love that orange. It's awesome. So cool.
Yeah.
Thanks so
It's really
much.
cool. Yeah. So my first one, This is an addition to the family. And this is Ginger.
Aw.
She is, are you ready for it, Dale? An Australian Silky Terrier.
Hey.
Oh, I would have guessed Yorkie. Are they
You know what?
related?
I think they are somewhat, yeah.
Okay.
Just don't bring him home on a plane. We'll have to make you say an apology.
Yeah, so we just got her on Thursday, and she was the people that had her said she was a Yorkie, but you know, we've been looking at her. Her body is actually longer than what you see here. Like she's got a really long body on her. I think a little more longer than a Yorkie, and you know, with the with the shape of the eyes and the ears and stuff like that, it's um I- actually my wife did a search, an image search for, and I don't know how she come up with the Australian Silky Terrier, but if you do a search for that, this is what you get. You get this dog here.
Aw.
So we're happy that they didn't clip her tail and things like that.
Yeah.
She's just a little spark plug, I tell you. Um,
Oh.
so she was a year old just this past Canada Day. So pretty easy to remember her birthday. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. For anybody that doesn't know, we had a Yorkie before that we
Mhm.
rescued, and had her for almost 3 years, I think, and then she passed away. She got sick and went down real quick. But so we have our other dog that we've had for 12 years, and she's starting to warm up to the idea of having this one around, but it's taken a bit of time. She's used to just kind of being a little bit of more of a solo dog,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, this is the latest addition to the family, and we're happy to have her. And she's just a real, like I say, she's a real spark plug. Just go 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 go.
So cute. I love the little mixed tones in the fur. It's always super cute.
Mhm.
Like the little
Yeah,
darker strands.
yeah, and we're gonna get her groomed here probably within the next couple of weeks, I think, and so she'll have probably a different look to her, but because we like to keep the snout, kind of cleaned up, not so
Mm.
long. I mean, she goes to get a drink of water now, and then she's dripping water off. She's a she shouldn't have a mustache and a beard. Sorry, Shane.
She's Australian.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, that's our little
Aw.
Ginger.
I
So yeah,
love the pose. I love the pose with the 1 foot up in the air too.
yeah.
Like
No,
getting ready to do something. Like, oh, where are we going? Where are you going?
yeah,
Super
yeah.
curious.
Where can I run to? Where can I run to?
So I should disclaim that there was a leash on the harness, heading up into the upper left corner, looking at the picture. But I took that out with Lightroom Mobile. But other than that, I don't think I did anything to the edit. I just the way I shot it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. She's pretty fast too. Oh boy, got to keep an eye on that one. But so now, Dale, here's another one of yours.
Oh yes, yes. I got up early for this one. This is one I've been trying to get for quite some time. It's near our ocean pools at Merriweather, just down the end of that massive coastline that I keep taking photos of. Massive two ocean pools right next to the ocean, really lovely to swim, but they have huge floodlights. And I've always thought they stay on because there's another ocean pool in the central of Newcastle, the city area. We also have another city ocean pool there, and they stay on all night long. They never turn off. So I always thought these ones never turned off as well, and I was determined that you could never really, with an iPhone, get, or even much cameras, get too good of a Milky Way shot there. But I decided to get up early one morning. The dedication, I went to bed super early, and I think I set the alarm for 3 a.m. Left the house at 3:15, and I got down there, and there was 3 swimmers already swimming in the complete darkness. The lights were off. I was like, yes, yes. I couldn't believe there was people swimming in the dark. Champions. It would have been freezing cold. I had a jumper on, a
Oh,
jacket on, and they're just swimming in like trunks. I'm like, You're mad.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, this
They
one I think was 20 photos. I think so. 20 photos of the Milky Way. Took a foreground shot. But I was so happy with this one. It came out so well.
Yeah, yeah, that is really cool. I threw this comment up. I think I should have thrown it up when Dave was talking. Dave Cruikshank says, "Sorry, late to the party. When you shoot a live photo, is only one frame full resolution and the others smaller files?" I believe they're all. Once you change the key photo, Dave, is it not full res,
There is a
or
little
is it?
bit of a there's a little bit of a zoom difference if you use a different key photo.
Okay,
Full resolution. As far as I know, the resolution doesn't change, but there's a little. I mean, if you do it and you move off, you notice there's a little bit of a zoom difference, and sometimes some of the Apple magic is removed if you're not on their selected key photo.
oh, okay,
So you may have to do a little editing because when they select their key photo, then they go with the so much above, so much below, pixel picking. And when you select another key photo, something that isn't a key photo is the one you want, it gives you less processing on the photo.
oh, okay.
So I
All
think the
right. Yeah, I can.
resolution's there.
Makes
It's just
sense.
a little less of the magic, though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for that info because I knew there was something about it, but I wasn't
Yeah.
100% sure. But getting back to Dale's image here,
Hmm.
I I like the color of the water in the foreground. The yellow doors on that whatever it is there. It almost looks like an observation.
It's like a pump house for the pools. It
Oh, the pump
filters the
house.
water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And now, is that the sun coming up in the background?
No.
Oh,
That is a
okay.
ship.
Oh, really?
So
Oh.
we're a port city. So there's ships out there. There's two kind of, one on the left as well, like a little
Yeah.
line, a little white line. So that would be the horizon, and their ships kind of glowing. I assume the left one was moving a little because you started forming a line, where the other one's a
Yeah.
bit more of a
Yeah.
glowy, probably slightly stationary ship.
See, now if the Earth was flat, you'd see that boat.
Yeah. It's just about to fall right off.
Yep,
Mhm.
yep. Uh, so to me, it looks like you've given the sky portion of this almost the same treatment as the other one.
Yeah, exactly. Same process there. Did I think there is 20 photos, 30-second photos, stacked them all, put them together, and then brought them back into Photoshop. The foreground, I did actually tweak the water a little bit just to work with the sky a bit better. I made it ever so slightly more green instead of blue because I like that kind of color combination.
Yeah,
And then I kind of did a bit more structure work for the leading line of the pathway up until the pump house. I thought that was a kind
cool.
of a good direction to kind of like lead everyone
Mhm.
into this Milky Way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm guessing those are waves coming in on the shoreline. That white.
They would be, yeah, yeah, all that whitewash, that would be waves hitting the rocks up there, so they'd be
Yeah.
splashing up. So I would have just kept
Mhm.
stacking that as well. I think there was a few foreground shots that I did, so it kind of helped stack that little white line, which is kind of cool to kind of separate the ocean from the ships from the sky.
Yeah. 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 It is pretty neat. Um,
Mhm.
just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to ask about this one. Any thoughts on that, Dave?
No, I mean you hit pretty much everything there, and the shots are just mind blowing. They
Oh,
really
thanks.
are.
Yeah.
You
Appreciate
know,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So is this was this a composite too, where the sky was done
The
differently,
tripod
or
never moved, but yes, they're all composites. So the last two, the tripod and camera never moved. It stayed still while I took the photos. Then I cut the foreground out and then stacked the sky.
Oh, okay. So, but that's where the Milky Way was originally, like when you
Yes.
got there, type of thing. Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So I
Yeah.
plan it out. I use photopills to plan most of the
Yep.
trips out, and I always that way I know exactly where it's going to be before I get there. Just put the location in. If you want to get super defined on a location you don't know, I just go to like Google Maps, find the latitude, longitude. Did that for my
Yeah,
camping
yeah,
trick, and then I can just put it into, which I only figured out you could do, which was really handy. I could figure out
yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
save kind of like, now where is it, navigating to where it is, finding it
yeah,
on the map.
exactly.
It takes a while.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So, Dave, your second one.
Yep. This was actually taken Friday night after my race. And the way I love the way there was just enough of a breeze that on the river you could see the reflection, but it wasn't 100% clear because of the little bit of waves going on. But
Hmm.
just you have the tall U.S. Steel building, which is that straight black triangle, and then the yellow of the bridge right there, kind of the strongest of the reflections.
Yeah.
But just having, that I just like the way because right there is almost at water level, so that's right
Oh,
along
yeah.
the river. So I was real close to water level, and then just had the city in the background there, and we had great weather. It was a bit warm for running, but in terms
Yep.
of cloudiness for pictures, great. I would have liked it overcast and around 10 degrees Fahrenheit cooler for running.
Yeah. Yeah.
because
For
it was
running. Yeah. Yeah.
because it was a bit on the hot side, but it was just really picturesque, really picturesque.
Yeah. Yeah. Those yellow bridges in Pittsburgh are just something else. Like
Yeah.
they just make it like you say picturesque. It make it
Mhm.
so interesting. If it was just a steel bridge, or if it was like a
Right.
greenish color or something like that, it would be rather boring, I think. I
Are they
think they
all
really
yellow?
show
That's
well.
amazing. So cool.
A lot of them are. A lot of them are.
Wow.
That's actually the formerly Sixth Street Bridge, renamed Clemente Bridge for Roberto Clemente, the baseball player. And there's
Hmm.
3 bridges called the Three Sisters. So it's Sixth, Seventh, and Ninth, and they're all the same. So they're all that kind of suspension
Ah,
bridges that are all kind of in a row.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
And you can actually see lined up kind of all 3 bridges kind of almost nestled in each other, how they go upriver.
Ah.
And
Yeah.
the 2 main bridges at the point are also yellow. A couple of them are there's a couple other colors on a couple other bridges, but a lot of the ones that are taken a lot are yellow bridges. Just that color yellow.
I
Is
think it
this
makes the city unique, right? Like it's
Oh
really
yeah,
cool. Like I was saying,
yeah.
it's awesome, awesome,
yeah.
unique vibrancy.
So any editing on this, Dave, or just pretty
A
much
little
as
bit in
is?
Photomator, just to give a little bit more definition to the water,
Okay. Yeah.
and to boost the color just a little bit.
Yeah.
But minor tweaks, just a little bit of minor tweaks here and there, but other than that, pretty straightforward, just as is. Just again, 16:9 vertical shot.
Hmm.
So no cropping there, no cropping other than, when you take a 16:9 shot, it's automatically cropped per se. But yeah,
Yeah.
turned out as
Well,
is.
I really love the vibrancy of it.
Oh yeah.
It's not too saturated, which is great. Uh, I love the reflection. It's even though it's
Hmm.
all broken up, but I mean, but it really fills the frame. Even though like there's over half of it is the water in the foreground, but
Yeah.
because of that reflection, it fills the frame, and it really makes
Hmm.
it interesting. So well done.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
awesome. Love reflections. They're key.
Yeah,
Keep
yeah.
Hmm.
everything looking sick.
So my third one is this little
Cute.
feller. Would you believe there was a family of 11 or 12 ducks altogether? The mother and all the kids, which are the young were almost as big as the mother,
Oh
and they
wow.
came right up on our lawn. And we had had a lot of rain this day, and as you could see, there's water in the grass and that. And they were. I have other pictures. I maybe should have shown a different one, but I like the detail on this one of the duck. Um, but they came right up beside my driveway, and I'm standing there in the rain, getting soaked. I took some video and a bunch of pictures. So I used the 5 times camera, on this one, this is cropped a little bit, but not much. Um, but they were close. Like they were about a meter and a half away from me,
Oh, wow.
Mm,
if that.
Very game.
And they
Very
were just
brave.
wow.
yeah, they were just digging in the grass, and the mother, she would put her body straight up and look around and make sure everything was all right, and then she'd start digging in the grass, and I don't know what they're digging for, but um, bugs maybe, I don't know, but there was 11 of the young, and so this all started when my neighbor texted me and said, "Look out your front window." So I run to the front window, and there they all are, and they're walking across the lawn, and then they disappear around the front of the house where I can't see. So then I went to the front bedroom, looked out the front window there where I could see them, and they're all, kind of hanging out, and they're getting close to the road and whatnot. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go out in the driveway. Out I went in the rain, and they all walked towards me, and I thought,
Oh,
okay, this is gonna be cool. I'm either gonna get attacked by these ducks, or I don't know what to expect. So
well,
I'm
I mean, they are ducks and not geese.
yes, that's true.
If they
Yes.
were geese, I would be afraid for my life.
Yeah.
It would make for a good photo, though, if they attacked
Oh
you.
no, it would look amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Black frame.
Yeah, exactly.
And then a frame just of the duck up close.
Yeah. Oh, but they walked towards me up the driveway on the asphalt, but then they, kind of went off to the grass to the side, and they started, digging their noses in, and like I say, I don't know what they were getting. Maybe it's grass seed. I don't know, like, seedlings off the grass that's growing or whatever. But they hung out there for probably 10 minutes before they moved on, and it was a really cool experience. Um, so I got pictures and video, and I can't remember if I posted the video. What I did was with the video stuff and the pictures, actually, I made a memory in the Photos app on the phone, and if I haven't posted it, I will. I think I posted it on Facebook, um, and I might have even put it in, you know, the iPhoneography podcast group, and I think I might have put it in Shane's group too. I'll have to check. If I didn't, I'll make sure I put them in there. But it's just really cool, the experience I had with all these ducks. They didn't care. I was standing there. I could creep up slowly, and get a little closer, and they just went about their business. And it was really cool. They so there's some of them that had a little bit of green in their wings. So I think those would be the males, because these are all mallards, and I'm assuming mallards are wood ducks. I'm not sure. I'm not a real big bird guy, um, but I just thought, I don't know. It was just really cool. It was a real fun experience, and uh, boy, oh boy, you just don't see that every day. At least not in this neighborhood. Down
Yeah.
at the park, maybe, but not here.
I think it's interesting with photography. I think sometimes we plan to capture the right photo, especially with astrophotography, and we spend a lot of effort trying to shape or create and produce it. But it's those special moments that you're just out and about and
Mhm.
something random happens and you're like, oh, quick, get a photo of that. And it's like it's a memory. It's stuck.
Yeah.
So, you'll cherish it, having that nice little moment. They trusted you to come close enough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You trusted them to get a photo. It's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. Um, well, so that's our recent photos. I better make sure that's the last one. Yep, that's the last one.
Yep.
Um, so let's just quickly look at a comment or two here. Dave Cruikshank said about the dog, very cute. Yes, Dave, I will totally agree. Maurice says about the live photo, the key picking at changing the key photo, they do seem softer and slightly cropped. So yeah, I guess that's probably why the difference in the quality. So maybe the crop factor, because a live photo is actually, it's like a video, right, Dave?
Right. So what they're doing, it always, and that's a thing people have to remember is the minute you have that camera open, it's taking images. It's not saving them, but it's taking images. And then
Yeah.
when you hit that shutter, then it takes like a second and a half before, second and a half after. looks at it, see what frame out of that 3-second bit is the best, takes that and then compares it to other ones and does bit by bit to figure out what's the best there. That's why sometimes you take a photo and it takes a half a second to a second sometimes to get the final photo to come up on the screen.
I wonder
Yeah.
if they're the sharpest photos of the photo set. Maybe they're picking the
It
best
can be.
ones.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
done that. I've done that with like images of dogs and cats when they're moving, and it'll pick the crispest image of the animal, even though maybe it's not the look I want or the way they're looking, but it's the one where there's the least amount of blur.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And other than that, it may use some of its machine learning, or might as well say AI now, because Apple Intelligence is going to be coming at some point, to maybe pick the best composition, out of the image. If there's a lot of motion in the image, whether it's people, pets, whatever, it could select the best composition, and then make that the key photo, like right off the cuff. But again, you have the opportunity to change it. And
I think it would do that. I did find a setting difference between video and camera. I've always noticed that if you switch between the native camera photo and video, the video crops in a little bit due to stabilization. But I actually do think there's a setting, I have to test undoing the setting inside the settings app, that you can undo that. But I do wonder if that will take away from the stabilization, but I wonder if it gives you back the proper full.
Well, I think you, when you do even 4K video resolution is not nearly as much as the 48 megapixel resolution of the sensor.
Oh yeah,
Native resolution, right?
Near that.
So I don't think you can get video that big. But wait a minute now, there's an app that came out, and I don't know if it's the I don't know if it's the new Final Cut app that Apple put out. Final Cut Camera? I'm wondering. I'm going to have to open it and see here.
I'm not overly familiar with trying and doing stuff with that app.
Yeah, well, I'm not either yet.
Yeah.
But there's an app that will produce a video, I think, that uses the full frame, like the 4:3 aspect ratio and everything. And I just can't remember what it was. Format.
So ChatGPT says a 12 megapixel camera, which is what most people would shoot at, would be 4K would be 8.29 megapixels. So you could get a 4K video out of 8.29 megapixels.
Yeah, there's an app, and I wish I could remember what it was, that you can shoot like 16:9, or you can shoot full frame. And I can't remember if it's a camera app or a video app. This is going to bother me now. I got to be up most of the night anyway. But Maurice saves the day. It's the relapse. That's it. Relapse from reflex. You could shoot a time lapse in the full 4:3 ratio. I believe it's full resolution, or 16:9. Now I got to open relapse and see what it says here. Okay, so the max setting is view options. The max setting. Okay, so there's 4K or there's max, and that's what it is. The max is the full. I think it's 12 megapixel. I don't think it's 48 megapixel, but the max setting gives you the full 4:3 screen ratio, and then the 4K gives you the 16:9 screen ratio. That's what it is. Thank you, Maurice. You saved my butt.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we were
See,
wondering when Reflex came out, what does max mean?
Yeah. Yep. Maurice, you make us look like rock stars. Thank you. So, well, Dale, what's next for you? What do you anything you're working on? Without
Nothing at the
giving too
moment.
much away?
Hoping the weather clears up a little bit more. It'd be good to get back out to Astro. This year I kind of wanted to go camping a bit more, so I'd love to plan small camping trips while it's a little bit cooler. And try and hope that the clouds stay separated would be nice.
And this is the time to do that because the nights are longer for you.
Yeah, perfect times. It's a really good opportunity to do it now rather than later in summer, but that's on
Yeah.
the goal. Yep.
Well, you've been fortunate though too to have use of a like a cabin or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I got reached out to by a company called Tiny Away, and by Instagram, and they really like my photography. So working with them, and I've done 2 stays now with them to take some photography and do some like I guess travel style photography, but I guess then HDR bracketed real estate style photography for inside the cabins. So it's been fun, using a lot of techniques like HDR bracketing to get the shadow details nice and crisp, and then also focus stacking to get like nice focus outside the windows, but also bracket that as well to get like nice and HDR, but not crappy HDR.
Yeah, not the clown puke.
Yeah.
But I can at least then use hopefully when the skies are clear, which I've thankfully the past 2 trips have been, I've had a period of nice clear sky. I've been able to do some astro work for them as well. So it's been fun to capture, and I think they really, really enjoy that there, to capture little tiny homes with a nice Milky Way over them.
Yeah, that's cool. And who says the iPhone can't be like a camera, like a real camera, right? But you also spent time with our mate Shane not too long ago.
Yes, we met up there in Nelson Bay. We did try to pray to the cloud gods to separate. They unfortunately did not listen to us. They did for Shane in the morning, but that's when Sleepy Dale was sleeping.
Yeah.
Didn't hear his phone. So he managed to get a nice photo, but it's been lately, the last few months, it's been really, really overcast lately. We haven't had many, and ironically, when we have clear skies, it's the worst time. It's like around the full moon.
Full moon. Yeah.
I know. It's like, oh, great, perfect, thank you.
Get your Samsung out.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Yeah, I can relate to that overcast thing because up until probably May, I swear we had overcast skies every day since the new year. Like it's just been it was just ridiculous, and it was almost depressing. But then, the odd time I'll look up and I'll see stars, and what do? Off I go, and then when I get out to where I want to go, the Milky Way is supposed to be right there, and what's there? Freaking clouds.
Yep.
Oh,
Ta-da.
but and when the moon when we had a new moon, if I'm not working, then we do have a little bit of cloud cover. So I don't know. Sometimes you just can't win. But no, I look forward to seeing what you come up with next, and with your so hyperlapses. You plan on doing any more of that?
I should. I mean, I guess while we're in a little bit of a weird weather, it's kind of good. The irony that the two forms of, I guess, creativity, videography and photography kind of clash a little bit. I always want it to be a cloudless sky at night, but I also do enjoy clouds in the morning at sunset or
Yeah.
sunrise to kind of get not low lying, maybe like medium or high, to spread the colors out. But for time lapse, clouds are perfect. They're key. Without a cloudless day is not a day really to be doing time lapse.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
think differently, kind of focus on I do a lot from the lookout of that lookout that I walked across, going down there and shooting maybe the coastline. So you get the
Hmm.
waves coming in at one speed, you get people walking at a different speed, you get cars going in. So you kind of have different elements when you do time lapse. You're looking for different speeds of movement to kind of create different
Yeah.
interest. Which is cool. We should get
Yeah.
back into that. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Well, definitely go to Dale's Instagram, where he's got a bunch of reels and pictures and things like that of all this stuff that we've been talking about. And I'm going to have a link to his Instagram in the show notes. Is there anywhere else where you put any of this stuff, or is
My
Instagram
website.
pretty much it?
So I do sell prints as well. So I've got a
Oh, okay, good.
website. Yep, DaleLotheringtonphotography.com. So you can go there and check that out. That link's in my Instagram as well. So if you want to go through the Instagram, and you should be able to find it there.
Okay. Now, while we're talking about that, selling prints, um, how does that work logistically, basically globally? Is it through a service where they can print something and send it to people anywhere, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't sold any overseas prints, but I do offer international shipping if you're looking for it. Obviously, we'll be at a bit of a price, but we can work it out depending on where you live, I guess. That will be
Right.
determined. But yep, anywhere around Australia, we can send it quite cheap. So if you're in Australia, easy flat rate. If you get three, then the next three, I think in batches of 3 photos at a time, we can send about a flat rate around. But they'll just be in a postal tube. Internationally, we can send that through as well.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, we'll have a link to your website on there too, then, for sure. And um, well, I mean, hey, thank you for joining us and for doing it when you're not feeling the greatest. I mean, you still sound great. You know, it's
I
not, your voice
appreciate
hasn't
it.
cracked up or nothing too much, but
Yeah.
you know, good on you for persevering and being able to talk to us. And folks, if you're listening to the audio, we hope you've been able to enjoy the pictures on your phone screen as we've been talking about them. And I always forget to say that before we show any pictures, but people should know that by now anyway. But uh, you know, hey, thanks again, and don't forget, Dale is in the Bloody Legends group, and I think you're in the iPhoneography podcast group too, are you not? If you're not, we're going to get you there.
If I'm not, I should get in
Yeah.
there.
But I mean, they're both great communities, and I've always said the mobile photography communities are some of the best out there. So,
100%.
you know, thanks again, and thank you, Dave, for the great time. And oh, Dave, while I'm thinking of it,
Okay.
you put a video on that somebody. We were talking about the accents from
Oh, yes.
Shane's live last time,
Mm-hmm.
and you put a video on there. We're not going to play it because it's somebody else's, but
Right.
I thought it was hilarious. It was so okay. So obviously Dale has the Australian accent. I have the Canadian accent.
Mm-hmm.
Dave has a very good good way of hiding the Pittsburgh accent.
Yeah, I have a very light Pittsburgh accent, if not kind of generic American Midwest accent.
Yeah. So can we hear some of the Pittsburgh stuff?
Oh, honestly,
Not to put you on the spot, but
I must say I do not do a good Pittsburgh accent. I when I try to do it, it sounds a little like a parody.
oh,
But
okay.
let me try my best. Yin's gonna go down south side, watch the Steelers. Maybe afterwards, gonna go down Giant Eagle, get some jumbo. Maybe get an iron.
Word, right?
Yeah, maybe get an iron. You know, pick up some iron to have a watch game night.
Oh, that's priceless. So this video that you showed was a woman from Pittsburgh with the typical Pittsburgh accent, and she's talking about this hill called Pig Hill.
Well, that's the old nickname.
Okay.
It's official. Yeah, the name of the street's Rialto. The reason why it was called Pig Hill is the not I don't want to say butchers, but they used to bring the by rail. They used to bring in the livestock, and they used to march them up the hill to be butchered. So that's
Yeah.
where they used to march the pigs up the hill. And when all that was kind of torn down and they didn't need that, they just put a road up where the pigs used to go up the hill. So it's a really steep hill, and it comes down on. Luckily, they improved it. It used to come right down onto a highway.
Oh, jeez.
In the winter, it was a pain, but it's basically barely wide enough for one car in each direction.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
And there's in the video, there's someone near the bottom, and they didn't go far enough over. So people are trying to. So for people to go up the hill, they have to go on the curb. They have to wait for the car to move. It's so steep that the road does not have a sidewalk. It has steps.
Oh, wow.
Because if you look at the road, there are steps next to it, and they have steps on it instead of sidewalks. And yeah, it's one of those things you drive up and you're like, driving up is not as bad as driving down. Driving down's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor
Now,
brakes.
have you driven up and down it?
Oh yeah, a couple times. Well, up it, yes, not so much down it.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
another way to get down off of the area's called Troy Hill. There's a way to get down versus just coming straight down the hill.
Yeah.
So
Well, if you ever that way, I would love to see video of it.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
From like either whoever's driving, give the phone
Yep.
to whoever else and get
Mhm.
video of it going up or down, or even just pictures from the top or the bottom, because I think it'd be really interesting to see that.
Mhm.
It's
It's crazy.
that video.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Alrighty, well, thanks everybody who's joined with us live, and for the
Mhm.
comments, and we hope you enjoyed it. And if you catch this after it's been live, well, you can always go back and watch it again, and see the images and the video and stuff that we've been talking about. Audio listeners, look in the show notes for links to Dale's time lapses and hyperlapses and all that stuff, his website and Instagram channel. And thanks again, Dale, for joining us when you're
Thanks,
not
guys.
feeling the best.
Appreciate it.
We really
Mhm.
do appreciate it. Been wanting to get you on for quite some time, and glad you can make it. And I guess on that note, we'll see everybody on the next one.
Have a good one,
See
everyone.
ya.